Three, two, one. We are going live. Welcome to the jungle. We've got fun and games. We are now in uncharted territory. It is literally, and I mean literally, crazy hot out right now. Welcome to episode number 4. We're going to keep this thing rolling. I'm a little bit behind what I wanted to be. I've been utterly swamped, as usual. Overloaded, because I'm like a little kid in a candy store 24/7 in this wonderful day and age that we live in. And I do believe we live in a wonderful day and age, in spite of a lot of challenges and difficulties and problems. We are very fortunate to live in the era that we do, especially when it comes to sales and marketing. The ability to do the things that we can do as far as producing content and getting things in front of the right people for such an obscenely low cost. Think about this. I'm sitting here with a camera that 10 years ago would have cost an obscene amount of money, and I can pump this out and get it in front of as many people as I want to if I decide. Like, it's just crazy. There's so much opportunity right now. It's absolutely staggering. This one might be fairly short. You're going to know this by now anyways. You're going to look and see what the timestamp is. But I was running through my studies of Psycho Cybernetics, and guess what I got? It's not the one that I have that had all my tabs and all my underline and all my... I have no idea where it is. I can find everything else. We just bought a new house in August 2017. And I have no idea where that book was. I've been reading my old one. It's so frustrating. Anyways, so getting into the first chapter, this is just one quick simple thing that stood out to me that I want to share with you. I almost bypassed it. I mean, in my own mind, I'm sure it would have came up at some point. But this is an issue that is super important to me. It's almost as important to me in terms of something to talk about and discuss as the issue of visualization and role-playing and practicing. Because this issue to me is arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, hindrances to people succeeding, to people stepping out and doing something, to putting their neck on the line and risking embarrassment and humiliation and failure and all that stuff. Because look, if you're going to do this, whether you're in sales or business or whatever it is, if you're going to do this, you have got to understand you are going to fail. There's no way around that. People are going to talk shit. They're going to say things. They're going to think things. And you have got to learn how to have thick skin and not give a rip what anybody thinks. And so that to me is really, 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 really important. I think not only to just giving you the capacity to persevere and not get sidetracked by that shit, but also in terms of your own inner peace. I mean, if you don't care what people think, you're going to be much happier. So this is what triggered it for me. If you're reading along, it's the second paragraph, first chapter. It says, understanding the psychology of the self can mean the difference between success and failure, love and hate, bitterness and happiness. The discovery of the real self can rescue a crumbling marriage, recreate a faltering career, transform victims of personality failure. On another plane, discovering your real self means the difference between freedom and the compulsions to conformity. Now, again, I'm not trying to be some expert on Psycho Cybernetics. I'm merely coming up here and talking about this book because of the profound impact that it had on my life and continues to have on my life before I even read this book. So if you haven't heard my story on it, real quick, I'll make it 15 seconds, so bear with me. I made rapid changes in terms of my ability to communicate and sell, persevere, all that stuff. My communication and selling skills absolutely, it's insane how quickly it changed. And that was through the use of role-playing, of seeing myself performing in a way that was successful and talking to people in a way that was going to lead to results, doing it in the right way. That rapidly changed how well I could communicate. And then I read Psycho Cybernetics, and this book talks about that. So that was one of the biggest things that changed me, which is why I feel like I have some reason to sit here and talk to you about it, because it's worked for me. And it worked for me before I even used it It continues to work for me now. I believe it's absolutely one of the biggest pillars to transforming your life. And so this is another one. We all grew up self-conscious. I mean, most of us did. I know I did. The thought of me getting up in front of a room and talking to people and being good at it when I was a teenager would have been absolutely absurd. And a lot of that comes from self-consciousness. So one of the biggest things that changed me was my ability to learn to truly not give a frickin' rip what anybody thought about me. I mean, in certain circumstances, of course, that's there. But I've actually had people tell me, Jay, you might be better for you to learn how to have a little bit of self-consciousness, just because I just sometimes I can say the most outlandish stuff without any concern for offending people. I think that we need to, as a society, we really need to learn how to stop being so damn offended by everything. That pisses me off. Political correctness pisses me off. So I don't really care. I would much rather err on the side of being at peace with myself, even if you aren't, than the other side, that my inner peace or my peace with myself is contingent upon your approval of me. Take that and shove it. But that last sentence there, where he's saying the discovery of the real self can be the difference between what was it? Can be the difference between freedom and the compulsions of conformity. I am super motivated by freedom. Don't really care about money. Super motivated by freedom. Super motivated by that. So, to me, when we are in a place of caring what other people think too much, caring what the wrong people think. I have people that I care what they think because their opinion matters to me and they have something of value that I look up to. But there's all these other people along the way who, if I would have listened to them along the way, I would have been so much further behind. If who knows even where it would have ended up, because they were nothing but a distraction. Their opinions were garbage. They weren't doing anything with their lives. They were living lives of mundane mediocrity. And if I would have let that affect me, I would be exactly where they are. My future would be exactly where their future is going to be. The same shit today as it was back then as it's going to be 10, 15, 20 years from now, unless they change. So, I mean, how do you do this? I think that the only answer is, how do we get to a place of being able to not care what people think, is what I'm trying to work out. And I don't know the full answer. Obviously, I'm not trained in this. I'm just going to give you my perspective. I think that it comes from having, obviously, knowing where you want to go and being obsessed with getting there is huge, because that's always going to give you the fuel to look at those forks in the road where it's, am I going to care what they think, or am I going to press on in spite of their barrage of embarrassment and humiliation and shit they're going to say and things they're going to think and all that crap? Am I going to go this way? Am I going to go this way? And the only way you're going to go the right direction is if you have that target, if you have that goal, if you know where you want to go and you're obsessed with getting there. You won't let that crap stop you. It won't matter. It doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. Doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. I can still get my feelings hurt. But I've learned how to just separate myself from that, because I absolutely know I absolutely have to. You have no choice. I wouldn't be doing this, sitting in front of a camera, doing this if I was concerned what people thought, because it's a bit ridiculous. I mean, it is. I mean, there's like everything else. Everything pertaining to this is ridiculous. Talking to yourself in your car, which I'm telling you to do, spend hours a day talking to yourself, is ridiculous. It's embarrassing. It's deserving of being laughed at, and losers will laugh. Just the way it is. So I think that that's a big key. Knowing where you want to go. You absolutely, all of this is contingent upon this. If you don't know where you're going, then what the hell are you trying to pay the price for? Like, you don't even know what the end is. Like Jim Rohn says, when the promise is clear, the price is easy. That is such a incredibly profound line. That, to me, I've listened to a fair amount of his stuff over the years. That, to me, is probably the most profound thing I've ever heard him say, bar none. When the promise is clear, the price is easy. That is so incredibly profound. That is so enlightening in terms of where do we find the motivation to do these things, because it does take motivation to overcome. It takes an incredible amount of motivation to overcome self-consciousness and compulsions to conformity, because compulsions to conformity, that's all that comes down to. You have no real identity of who you are. And so you are inevitably going to find your identity through what people say about you and what you perceive them to be thinking about you. And that's dangerous. That is incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly toxic. It's incredibly counterproductive, unproductive. So, again, it's one of these things where you can't just choose to not give a shit what people think, but it does come down to learning how to practice not giving a shit what people think. How would I practice? How would I carry out my life? What would I be doing? What would I be saying? How would I be functioning if I didn't care what people think? And in the privacy of your own office, in your own room, while you're driving in the car, practice that. That is the frickin' answer right there. I'm giving it to you. There's nothing else. That is the answer. Practice operating like that. You don't have to be a D-type personality. I'm a D-type personality. If you've ever done the DISC, I'm a D, which is why I can be very direct, to the point, and come across as a complete asshole, even though Ds are known for having a heart of gold. There have been people over the years who have tried to emulate my style, and I get that it might be, I don't know. I mean, I've tried to emulate other people's styles that aren't Ds, and it just doesn't fit. Don't try to be something you're not, okay? So, it doesn't mean you have to be rough around the edges. It can come out in whatever way. There's so many people that function in that capacity in a gazillion different ways, and it all works as long as you implement that and it impacts how you actually function in your behavior by not caring what people think. So, I wish that so badly for every single person who watches this or listens to this, wherever that might be. I want that so bad for everybody to learn to not care what people think, not care what the wrong people think, because the wrong people think about the wrong things in the wrong way. That they have no idea. And I'm not talking about, obviously, getting into doing things that are wrong. I'm talking about they just don't. They have this idea of life, and it leads to failure. There's a reason for that. So I don't want that for people, and I see it as such a hindrance. People give up their hopes and their dreams. They shrink back into conformity because they're too scared of what these people are going to say or think, and these people have no business running their mouth or thinking anything anyways. So please work on this, and you work on it by practicing. How would I function? How would I think? How would I talk? How would I behave? How would I operate in my day-to-day life if I didn't give a rip what those people think? And then imagine that, practice it, role play with yourself, and it'll start to happen. You're going to start to chip away at that, and you're going to start to build this up, and you're going to find that real self in you who doesn't care what the wrong people think and will not be stopped by it. So I really appreciate it. I'm getting a ton of really good feedback. That means the world to me. That is the best thing for me. So if you're getting something from this, please message me, comment, wherever. I've gotten a lot of personal messages. You can find me at facebook.com/the-Jay-Woodford. I know it's kind of douchey, but I did that because somebody else had taken Jay Woodford. What else am I supposed to do? Sir Jay Woodford? Mr. Jay Woodford? See, I care what you guys think about me. Jeez, what a loser. So find me there. Send me some messages. Tell me that this is helping you, because that gives me so much motivation. That's the best thing for this. So if it's helping you, great. If you see ways that I can improve this, let me know. And as always, keep listening. You can listen to the podcast. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify, Stitcher, I think it's called, Anchor, Google's thing. Yeah. All right. So hopefully see you guys in a couple days. And I appreciate it. Thank you.